This is The Sports Life.
And wouldn't you know it, on Resurrection Sunday, the Purdue Boilermakers have turned the doubters into believers. Believe this, for the first time since 1980, Purdue is headed back to the Final Four.
A great moment for Rob Blackman, the voice of the Boilermakers, as well as Purdue, is after a year before losing to a 16 seed, bounce all the way back to get to the Final Four. That was really, really something. And welcome into our show. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Scheller. Welcome into the Sports Life. And don't forget, Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners make sense for you. That was a big turnaround.
It sure was. Can't get much bigger than that.
I don't think so. Well, we're going to have a fun show, and what we're going to do, we're going to reflect on some things. And one of the things, since we're getting into the NCAA Tournament time of year, how do you not reflect back to that great team Indiana had in 1976?
And hard to believe, too. That was almost 50 years ago, nearly half a century ago, the last time we had a giant major program be undefeated in college basketball on the men's side. Just insane to think about. But you mentioned the NCAA tournament's coming up. We're going to be highlighting some of the Big Ten buzzer beaters throughout the previous many decades for Big Ten men's basketball to see some of the best moments that this conference has had in the Big Dance. And also, stepping away from basketball, we're actually going to head to the gymnastics mats where Mike Rowe, the head coach from Michigan State, has put together one of the more incredible comebacks, maybe even more incredible than Purdue losing to Fairleigh Dickinson and then coming back to make a championship game. What Mike Rowe's done in East Lansing is simply amazing as they get ready for their Big Ten championships.
Well, you ready for the sounds of the week?
I think we certainly are. And why don't we go ahead and start? We mentioned we're getting ready for a couple of NCAA tournament moments, right, that we're going to be playing here a little bit later on in the show. Some of the buzzer beaters, so on and so forth. Well, now the Big Ten tournament is in the rearview mirror. Why don't we go back and highlight some of the buzzer beaters we've had in the Big Ten tournament in years past? And let's start by going all the way back to 2008. Minnesota defeats Indiana on a Blake Hoffarber game-winning shot called by the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
Hoffarber has it, turns, throws it out. Yes! 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 He hit it! Yes! Unbelievable! 15-footer like his high school days. Unbelievable! Gophers win it, 59-58.
It was unbelievable. And you heard reference to his high school days. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing, I think, in the state championship game.
Where he was seated, right?
Yeah, it's on his fanny. Why not?
Simply amazing.
It was a big moment.
Yeah, that's a way to knock down the game winner in style, Blake Hoffarber. Well, a couple years later, there was another Big Ten tournament buzzer beater. This one may be even more memorable. It was Evan Turner for Ohio State defeating Michigan in the tournament. We have both sides of the call. We have the winning call with Ohio State and the voice, Paul Keels, and the call that fell a bit short on the scoreboard, Matt Shepard, the voice of Michigan at the time, as they both take you through the events. We'll start with the winning side in Ohio State and Paul Keels.
David Leidy will be the inbounder from the back baseline. Inbounds Turner, left side of the backcourt. Turner across the timeline, throws it from high on the right. He makes it! He hit it, Evan Turner! He hit it just inside of half court. Evan Turner at the buzzer knocks down a long three from high on the right. You gotta be kidding as Evan Turner hits a shot that everybody dreams of.
Leidy, here's that quickly to Turner. Turner from midcourt, good look. Oh no!
They're going to check it. I think you made it, though. I think it's good. Where'd he go?
He's assessing things.
Where's the play-by-play guy?
Just as stunned, partner. I don't know what to say.
You see, the guy shot it from 24 feet, 25 feet. Not a lot you can do there.
Well, there isn't. He had a good look, though, and he made it, and we've seen it. And it's just all part of the game. And if you've been around long enough, you've been on both sides of that, like Matt was and Paul. But at the end of the day, It's that kind of thing that makes college basketball so exciting because you just really never know.
Absolutely. And that emotion that you get from your hometown radio crew, that always is kind of the fun conduit from fan to those big moments. Whether you win or lose, they feel it right alongside all the fans.
What'd Matt say? Oh, no.
Yeah. It just said, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
That's you kind of feel that way.
Yep.
Well, as I suppose the authoritarian and the watchkeeper of Sounds of the Week throughout the program's existence, the Sports Life here, Will, I got to be honest, one got by me this season. And it's maybe the first time Matt Painter said something that I didn't hear right away, because normally anytime he speaks, I'm ready to inject that into the Sounds of the Week. I missed one back in early January, and I thought, why don't we go ahead and bring that back out now, because the people shouldn't be punished for my mistake of not catching Matt Painter talking. This is him talking about the college basketball landscape and how different it is to coach in it today.
You know, the ones that can adjust on a year-to-year basis are the ones that are going to be more successful. You know, like you just got people leaving, going in the draft, getting hurt, like whatever it is. And then you got new guys. And so like you're trying to build, you know, with all new guys. Now you don't have the build up as much. So I think what a lot of people are doing that are getting it figured out, besides just getting really talented guys, is finding those guys in the portal that have those winning qualities. Because you don't have the time to instill it. You get them in the summer, you get them in the fall, and then you might lose them in the spring, right? And it's like dating in 8th grade. And everything's changed, and everything's going a million miles an hour. And when you're used to building and having a guy as a freshman, and having him as a sophomore, and then having him as a junior, and you keep going up, and now it's different, it's a little bit harder on all of us.
Like dating in the 8th grade. I've never heard that one before.
It's so good, but you know what he says? They maybe come in the spring, they leave in the summer, whatever it is. Yeah, that's pretty appropriate. It's kind of like that.
I think you could do a whole show just on gold statements made by Purdue's Matt Painter.
I think we could.
I don't think I dated in the 8th grade, by the way. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to take a moment to reflect on some of the great buzzer beaters in reference to the Big Ten and the NCAA Tournament. It's all coming up in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is the Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay!
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, the NCAA Tournament is really exciting because you really never know what's going to happen. It's the one event every year where the little guy can beat the big guy. And like they always say, you don't have to be better than somebody all the time, just for maybe 40 minutes. Well, if we're going to revisit some great NCAA moments as it pertains to the Big Ten, why not start with a shot that wins a national championship?
I think it's a pretty good way to kick us off. And so, of course, let's head down and celebrate the 1987 championship with the Indiana Hoosiers. And the player that hit the shot that you're talking about, Keith Smart. Let's have a listen to the call with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher.
At the Smart, baseline jump shot in the air. Good! 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. The Hoosiers have won the national championship.
I hope this team will show you that when you've got some problems of your own and when things aren't going really well for you, you can tighten your belt a little bit and get the ball to Keith Smart and things will come out all right.
It was just that moment. It was my time and got the shot and it didn't think anything of it. I just caught the ball and shot it without even thinking about it. And I guess it was just that time for Keith Smart to put his name, I guess, in history. Then I didn't realize that it was such a big deal. But as I get farther and farther away from that moment, I'm starting to see that, man, this really was something that was special. You know, and every year the tournament comes on and they show the shot all over. Throughout the summer they'll show the championship game in Indiana. So it never dies. It continues to live and live on.
Keith Smart talking about his little piece of immortality. Little fun there from Bobby Knight. And Don Fisher on that call, he's been sounding just like that, making those great calls for over 50 years.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really something. That was a great moment. Well, when we talked to Bruce Weber, we obviously talked about the Illinois-Arizona game back from 2005 and the Great Illini comeback. So how can we not have that on our list?
We have to go to that. So let's go ahead and hear some of the great shots that fueled the comeback for the Illini with the voice of Illinois, Brian Barnhart.
Illinois has roared back from 15 down to cut it to 3. Inbound, Ingram steals it. Head has it in the left wing. Out top to Williams. Darren for the tie. He got it. He got it. 80-80. Darren Williams with the biggest 3 of his life.
Now they have to play straight-up defense. No fouls at this point.
34 seconds to go. 80-80 Illinois and Arizona. Brown all over Shakur. Timeout Arizona. Oh, my. I can't believe what I've just seen.
That's got to be the greatest comeback in Illinois history when it's needed the most.
2:20 to go in the game for a trip to the Final Four. Here is Williams. Pops open. Shoots a 3 and got it.
Oh, man, that's a backbreaker by Darren Williams. Boy, he struggled all afternoon. He put the team on his back in the last 3 minutes.
5 3-pointers for Darren Williams in the second half. And it's 88-84 Illinois. Here's a steal. Luther head. Coming to the basket. Layup good.
Boy, these guys got heart in reserve, Brian.
What a blitz by Illinois.
They have no quit in sight.
All right, here we go. 11.8 to go. 90-89 Illinois. The inbound for Arizona. They get it to Shakur. Guarded by D. Brown. Bounce pass on the wing. Adams. Double team. 4. Illinois up 1. Arizona
Adams, jumper, no good. Illinois going to the Final Four. Illinois is going to the Final Four. 90-89. Look at those Illini jumping around. We're headed for St. Louis. We'll see you by the arch.
Well, two big surprises in that whole sequence. By the way, great call there, as always, by Brian Barnhart. That other voice you heard was Stephen Bardo.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, how did Illinois get down so big? That was the first shock. And then against a really good Arizona team and a great coach in Lute Olson, for them to come back like that and get to St. Louis in the Final Four was unbelievable. But like they say, that's why you play the game, right?
Absolutely. But, you mentioned a couple of things that stood out to you. Something that stood out to me, that crowd must have been standing on top of the shoulders of Brian Barnhart and Stephen Bardo. And you could feel like you were in the gym during that clip.
Well, they had a pretty nice run there because they were in a Chicago suburb. That wasn't too bad. And if you're an Illini fan and you're going to St. Louis for the Final Four, that's not too bad either. So they got to the final game, didn't quite work out there against North Carolina, but what a run they had.
Absolutely. And by the way, also in that Final Four that year was Michigan State in 2005, and that segues us over to Michigan State and a great moment they had a few years after that. 2010, Michigan State and Maryland would meet in the round of 32, and this is one of the better endings to a basketball game you're going to find in the NCAA Tournament history, not just because it ends with a buzzer beater, but the shot before it. Here's the final call and the final sequence between Michigan State and Maryland in 2010.
The ball comes in to Lucius. Here we go. 25 to go on the shot clock. Michigan State down by 1. With the ball, Rowe. Rowe bounce pass to Green on the side. Here's the shot. He got it! He got it! Michigan State by a point. We've got 18 seconds to go. And now Maryland will get the final shot of the game. Vasquez has it. He'll want to shoot it. He's spinning. Here comes the shot. Bank shot is good. Maryland's back up by 1. We got 6 seconds to go. Green is on the run for Michigan State. Now to Lucius for 3 and the win. He got it! He got it! He got it! At the buzzer! Unbelievable! At the buzzer! Oh my goodness!
Well, that was something. And I can tell you what was going through my mind when all that was going on. Number one, I thought the Draymond Green shot was the winner.
Right.
I thought Maryland would shoot but miss. And I thought they would shoot like with 2 seconds left, not 6 or whatever. Okay, so I was wrong on the Green thing. Maryland scored. But the fun thing, and we talked about this before, as Draymond Green is tearing down the floor, Tom Izzo is getting up to call a timeout and didn't, which is the best timeout he never didn't call, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. If that's proper English. But it was just amazing. And the part I didn't see at the moment, when Green threw the ball to Corey Lucius at the top, what I didn't see was one of the post players, Delvon Rowe. He actually ducked so the pass could get from Green to Lucius for the shot. What happens if he decides to catch it? But he didn't. He was smart enough. He ducked, and the rest is history. But that, think about it, all that happens within a handful of seconds.
It's crazy to think about, and the visual that's in my head isn't so much if Delvon goes to catch it, but if that ball just baseball passes, hits him in the side of the head. I mean, that thing was on a beeline right next to his head, and he just ducked right out the end of the way. And that's kind of one of the signatures of Delvon Rowe and his legacy.
Yeah, and that Lucius shot, sometimes you see a shot and you know it's good when it leaves the guy's hand. There was no doubt that thing was good.
What an awesome March Madness moment. That'll move us forward to Ohio State in 2013. They survive late against Iowa State with an Aaron Kraft game winner. Here's how it sounded with the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
So here we go. Aaron Kraft, high on the right, 5 seconds left. Kraft, top of the key. Kraft still dribbling, 3 seconds left. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3. Yes! Aaron Kraft with a tenth of seconds left. He knocks it down from right of the key, 78-75. Ohio State, as Aaron Kraft, in the face of the defense, sticks a major league basket down.
Aaron Kraft was one of those guys you would like him to be on your team. If he wasn't, you didn't like him at all. But it's interesting. He wasn't a 25-point-a-game guy. He just was a guy that could win the game with a shot like Paul called there or a great defensive play. In his time at Ohio State, he just was fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Just played his tail off consistently. Well, let's go to the rivals for the Ohio State Buckeyes and move to 2018, where the Michigan Wolverines had a game-winning iconic moment thanks to Jordan Poole, who knocks off Houston with this game winner called on the TV side by Brad Nessler.
So the pass is going to come from Livers. He rifles it right in front of us to Abdul Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole! A freshman has won it for the Wolverines!
Well, that was a great moment. And, it's pretty interesting. In the time that John Beeline was the head coach at Michigan, I do think at times his efforts and success there was overlooked. It was like they're getting to Final Fours, they're winning Big Ten titles. And who would have thought they'd win a Big Ten tournament title after a plane crash, playing games in like practice uniforms? And I just thought that shot by Poole sort of, it's a great moment. But I just felt like he did such a wonderful job there that he maybe should have gotten more credit than he did.
Oh, I think that's very fair to say. I mean, to your point, took Michigan to 2 national championship games, and one of them was that year, thanks to Jordan Poole earlier on in the tournament, hitting that shot. Well, let's talk about another team in a Final Four appearance. 2019, Michigan State knocks off number 1 seed Duke, led by Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish. The whole Blue Devil squad falls to a former walk-on, Kenny Goins, in this shot.
40 seconds left in this basketball game. 20 on the shot clock. With the ball, Tillman high post. Now to Kenny Goins. Here's a three. He got it! He got it! Wow! It's going to be frantic on this play. Tillman looking, and he gets it to Cash. He's all by himself. It could be a breakaway, but he doesn't shoot. Time runs out! Michigan State has just won the region. Michigan State 68, Duke 67. Folks, we are going to the Final Four.
And what a game that was. Zion, the greatest player in college basketball at the time, gets smoked by a walk-on. And at the end of that game, for those that were in the arena that could see it, when the inbound pass came to Cassius, he goes left. They couldn't catch him to foul him. And it looked like the Keystone Cops. And it was one of the great games of all time. And I really thought that should have been a Final Four game, not an Elite Eight game. But I don't get to select the seed, so there you go. But it was fun to be there, and it's fun to relive some of those fabulous moments in Big Ten basketball when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Now, when we come back, a look at the last unbeaten team in major college basketball.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, one of the great things about sports is greatness never gets old. It's always fun to relive it. 1976 in college basketball gave us something we may never, ever see again. A team that would win the national championship and win every game from point one to the end of the road. And that's being Indiana.
Yeah, that's most certainly right. And we actually, a couple years back here on this show, The Sports Life, we uncovered a bit more about that 1976 undefeated team and what went into making them so special. We actually did this 4 years ago when Gonzaga was threatening that mark. If you remember, Gonzaga went undefeated in the regular season, got into the NCAA Tournament. As it would eventually play out, they would lose to Baylor in the national championship game in 2021. But at the time, there was discussion and comparison between those two squads, and that's actually where we start with the feature by talking with the legendary Indiana basketball writer, Bob Hamill.
They're talking about this current Gonzaga team, which is a real threat to be that first unbeaten champion since Indiana, as having three guys that are high draft picks. Well, that Indiana team had three of their four seniors. Three were taken at the first 11 picks of the draft, and the one junior starter, Ken Benson, was the number one pick of the next draft. And in the following season, NBA season, the first time it could happen, all five of the Indiana starters started for their NBA team in the opening game. So that's how good that talent was. And Bob Knight's coaching didn't hurt it either. So that was just a powerhouse team that remains the best team I've ever seen. And when Kentucky came close a few years ago, when we got to the Final Four and defeated somebody from CBS, called me and we were talking about. He said, "Well, you'd have to admit it, but it's much more difficult to do it now." And I said, "I don't think so." But if you go back and look at the tournament route that Indiana took, there was no seeding then. So they started out against St. John's, which would have been the Big East champ. There wasn't a Big East yet, but they were the best team in the East. Then they played in the second their second game in the NCAA tournament was against the SEC champion Alabama, which was number 5 ranked. Their third game was against the number 2 team, Marquette, which had lost only one game, and that was to Minnesota was the Big Ten. So today, an unbeaten team would not really run into anything close to that kind of a tournament schedule beyond having to survive the Big Ten schedule.
And that takes us to this week's cover story. A salute to the last NCAA D1 basketball team to go undefeated and win the national championship, the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. To understand that historic team, you have to go back to the year before, where the foundation was laid, says the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers for the past 48 years, Don Fisher.
Without question, the 31-1 season was disappointing because that team felt like they were capable of winning the national championship. And they did. They had the capabilities. But Scott May, one of their stars in that particular ball club, he was a junior at the time and the second leading scorer on the team, he got hurt in the Purdue game leading up to tournament play. And that was about, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. He broke his arm, and he did try to come back, but he was not very comfortable with it. He didn't play very well in that last game that they got beaten by Kentucky, and that was also a sore spot for any Indiana fan because Indiana and Kentucky were such great arch rivals. But all that said, there was a belief that team did not accomplish what they had set out to do. And this team, going into the 76 season, was bound to determine that wasn't going to happen again, that they were going to win a national title. That was the feeling. That was the belief so strong under Bob Knight that this team was capable and were going to win a national championship. And that's the feeling you went into the season with, that this team was good enough, and they believed in themselves to the point where you weren't going to beat them.
Not only were you not going to beat them to a title, but you weren't going to beat them in a single game. That's the goal that was put before that team, before that historic campaign, says Bob Hamill.
That was what Bob Knight gathered them together before the season even started. He said that this will not be a successful season unless you go undefeated. He always, the target always in the Knight era was the Big Ten championship. They never talked NCAA championship. They always talked Big Ten championship. That was the 1 year the target was not just winning the national championship. The target was going undefeated.
Fast forward past 31 wins, and Indiana would head to the national championship game to take on Michigan for the third time that season, after a previous overtime thriller between the two in Bloomington that IU would claim. Now, for the third time and for the title, on March 29th, 1976, it would be the Hoosiers and the Wolverines.
And Indiana, who will not be deprived of the finals this year, they are in the final ball game. Indiana and Michigan, it's all Big Ten.
Well, the first thing you remember is that early on in the ball game, Bobby Wilkerson went down. He was playing on defense, and he went down and he got hit.
Knocked away, Grody on the steal. Steve Grody on the break, 2-on-2. Grody back inside of Britt, shot good. Wayman Britt got his first bucket of the game. And Bob Wortman, the official, talking with Bobby Knight now. Indiana's player was down, and Bobby wanted to know why something hadn't been done. And it's Bobby Wilkerson, and he is shaken up on the play.
And he went to the floor, and the play stopped. And Wilkerson was actually taken off the floor on a stretcher.
And lo and behold, the first couple minutes, I get accidentally hit with an elbow, and I'm knocked out. So I don't see none of the game, and I don't see nothing. I've never seen the game, and all I know is that Coach Knight and John Havlicek came in the locker room after the game and said that we had won to the hospital, and that's all I remember.
Michigan had a 35-29 lead at the halftime, and Indiana had lost Wilkerson. He had a severe concussion. He was an inch or so away from perhaps killing him. It was a very, very bad injury, and breaking up that combination of Buckner Wilkerson was an enormous problem, and but they adjusted and wound up playing the best second half that I've ever seen in a championship game.
Fires to Jimmy Wishman. Wishman brings it outside, spins around, dribbling across the key, tries to penetrate, can't, gives to Benson, turnaround jumper by Benny, is good! Ted Benson has got 18. 45-43, and Indiana's taking the lead by 2. Grody driving to the right side. Buckner's field. He's on a breakaway. Drives down. Puts it up. Scores! Glenn Buckner now with 8, and Indiana takes a 4-point lead.
They outscored Michigan 57-33, and 57 is still the NCAA Tournament record for a point and a half of the championship game, either first or second. And that's by a team that was known for defense, not offense. But with all the pressure on, all of the unbeaten season, the national championship on the line. That's how well they played down the stretch.
Baxter flies down the other end, fires a jumper, no good, and Benson rebounds. Up toward Abernathy. May. He's got a breakaway. Drive, shoots, scores! Johnny May has got 24, and Indiana leads by 12. Buckner driving across one man, brings it back outside. Fires to Jimmy Wissman. Wissman now looks for help. Now turns around and passes to Quinn Buckner. Buckner driving toward the lane. Underneath, puts it up, scores! Buckner scores right down the pipe. He's got 16. 10 seconds. Baxter almost lost it. Here's Fishing on the dribble. Baxter down the right side. Lost the ball. Balavic is on the steal. Bradford on a break. 5 seconds. Field drive. Shoots it up. And Vincent. Here's Hamill and scores again. Indiana's number one. They've won it. Indiana's won it. They're the national champions for 1976. Can you believe it? Incredible. Bobby Knight and Johnny Orr standing here in front of us. Shaking hands. Bill Frieder now. Unbelievable. As Indiana's won the national championship. And the Hoosiers have won it all. 86-68.
All I know is that these guys believed that they were going to win a national championship, and they believed that from the very beginning of the year. There was this will to do so, and it was a fierce will, and it was because they had felt like they had kind of gotten robbed from the year before based on the injury to Scott May. So there was just a will about these guys. You could feel it. You could taste it almost. If you were around the team, and we were around the team a lot, you just knew that there was a confidence level. It wasn't arrogance. It was a confidence level that Bob Knight had instilled in these guys, that they were good enough. They should have won it the year before. We're going to prove that was not a fluke, that Indiana's going to win a national championship.
Don Fisher on the call 45 years ago as he reflects on the team there. Scott May led the way for Indiana as he would finish with 26 points and was elated afterwards.
I am. Right now, I'm so happy I don't know what to do. I could cry, I guess. I really could. It's kind of hard to believe, We put in 4 years of good hard work, and it finally paid off for us. What better way can you go out, end your career by winning the national championship? I'm really happy. I really am.
The captain, Quinn Buckner, chipped in 16 points in these comments.
I just think it's the greatest thing that's happened to me probably since I've been living, and I just want to thank everybody at IU, fans and the coaching staff, that I was able to be a part of it.
Finally, here was Indiana head coach Bob Knight after the game.
I'm very grateful that we had an opportunity to play in this game tonight, and very pleased that we won it from two standpoints. From the standpoint of our players, I don't think there's a group that's worked harder in the country than our kids have. We were disappointed last year. We had the same goal last year that we had this year. So this has been kind of a 2-year quest for us to get this thing done. They've stuck with it. And then secondly, I feel very, very pleased that the people that have invested time and thought and effort and parts of themselves in this team were rewarded with the game tonight.
But he wouldn't be done there. Bob Hamill has a vivid memory from after Bob Knight's first national championship in 1976.
They beat Michigan to win the championship. That's Bob's first. And there's just pandemonium in the locker room afterwards, and I have to do my interviewing and all those things. And that I was at the same hotel they were, so I was going back to the team bus to go to the hotel as we left the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And Bob is right behind me. And he and John Havlicek left, did not go back with the team. They went back to admitting to the hospital with books to see how that was going, because that was his first concern at that point. So I knew I was not going to see him again. I just kind of turned around and said, it dawned on me, here's this guy's first national championship. We haven't even talked about it. I put a hand out and I said, by the way, congratulations. and he took the hand and he kind of looked over my shoulder. He's behind me, and he says, thanks, but it should have been two.
Well, when Bob Hamill says Coach Knight said it should have been two, he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. And who can imagine that? If Scotty May doesn't break his wrist, I think, in what would have been an undefeated possible in national championship season for Indiana the year before, can you imagine at that level running the table back-to-back years?
I mean,
There's a reason that very few teams have ever done it, and that just would have added on. I mean, here, since Bob Knight has passed away, we've continued to look at the legacy, and not that you ever forget the winning he's done, but when you keep re-examining it, you're like, oh my goodness, what he was able to accomplish. And if you add a back-to-back in the mix of that, I mean, it's just incredible what he did.
Well, but he did it in 1976, and we may never see it again. Now, when we come back, a story about somebody who's done one of the most amazing things ever in college athletics.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, a good story is a good story. And today we're going to bring back an encore cover story about one of the greatest turnarounds in the history of intercollegiate athletics. Well, this week's cover story deals with the continuing exploits of a program that not only avoided extinction, but is now performing at a never-before-witnessed championship level. This miraculous transformation of the Michigan State women's gymnastics team began getting traction heading into 2022. Approaching that season, the Spartans were ranked 56th in the nation. But to the surprise of many, MSU had finished 9th in the country, have an overall mark of 13-4, and advance to the NCAA regional finals. By just about anybody's measuring stick, the improvement from 2021 to 2022 was impressive, thus making it easy to see why Spartan head coach Mike Rowe was not only voted the Big Ten Coach of the Year, but also the first ever Michigan State women's gymnastics head coach to be named the National Coach of the Year. But the improvement from the 21 season to the 22 campaign doesn't even begin to tell the story of this program's true accomplishments. This comeback story began in 2017. That was the year that the Michigan State women's gymnastics program became intertwined in the USA Gymnastics sex abuse scandal. The central figure being now convicted sex offender Dr. Larry Nassar, who for 18 years was the team doctor for the USA women's national gymnastic team. So as the scandal became national news, Kathy Klages, MSU's head coach for 27 seasons, retired. And then it was up to assistant coach Mike Rowe to pick up the pieces.
Now what? It was a big question mark. We didn't know. We knew, to try to maintain some kind of integrity for the program and what was all being said and what was going down, because we didn't really know. It was turned over to us in a matter of hours, walking on eggshells and just a big question mark. What's next? Talking to our administration, what's next? They just run the program.
Yet, if you're Mike Rowe, why not just head for greener pastures?
Yeah, and there was a lot of thought given to that at the time, too. I've always wanted my own program. The way that it came about, dropping in, and I say mine and Nicole's laps, obviously wouldn't, to subject anybody to that. But at some point I thought this too shall pass. And then it kept growing and growing and growing. So there was it was like a roller coaster. There was a lot of uncertainty as to what my future would hold, whether I wanted to get involved, how that was going to pan out, whether they were going to even keep the program. So it was just one day at a time. For the kids that were still on campus before graduation in 2017, we kept the gym open in the afternoons noon to train voluntarily, and that was kind of like our solace. That would let's meet and play, and when we leave, then we'll deal with the outside world. A little bit of denial, a little bit of waiting, and that uncertainty again, because not knowing on any given day what was going on, we just kind of reverted back to let's do gymnastics and that passion that we have for the sport and try to have as much fun as we can and get some stuff done.
It's fair to say that Mike Rowe elevated Michigan State women's gymnastics to its most competitive level. And you could also say that Mike Rowe actually saved the MSU program from extinction. So where did this miracle man come from? Well, Mike Rowe is a native of Lowell, Michigan. He earned a degree in landscape architecture from MSU in 1985 and was a member of the cheer squad. Then, through a series of unplanned events, he was off on a 12-year professional dance career that had him performing on national and international tours. Then at the age of 36, and growing weary of his dance career, his husband earned a nursing degree from the University of Michigan and then took a job in Pittsburgh, which led Rowe to visit the University of Pittsburgh campus.
I heard the University of Pittsburgh had a collegiate team, and I just went up there one day. My husband's hospital that he worked in was a UPMC Presbyterian, which is on campus at Pitt. So, knew where I was or whatever, and I heard this, had this new gym, went up there, and I went to the gym one day, and the head coach was in there, and I go walking in, and I introduced myself, and I was like, we're living here now, don't know what I'm going to do, and I do choreography if you need floor routines choreographed or whatever. She's like, have you ever thought about being an assistant collegiate coach? I was like, no, why? And she's like, my assistant, and she points down, and her assistant coach is underneath the floor, like underneath the trampoline. His hand comes up. She goes, he just gave his 2 weeks notice. So I was kind of like not hired on the spot, but I gave her my experience of coaching where I had some pretty decent credentials to back it up. So yeah, I was at Pitt for 9 years, and then this position opened up, and I was an assistant for 2 years before everything changed.
So it was 9 years at Pitt, and then he returned home to become an assistant coach at Michigan State. And as they say, the rest is history. During the 2022 season, the athletic accomplishments of the Michigan State women's gymnastics team Well, they were well documented. But the 2022 team's impact goes much further than winning a meet or two. Given the effects of being connected to the USA Gymnastics sex abuse scandal, the 2022 collection of Spartans helped begin a long overdue healing process. Proof of this was illustrated in this tweet, posted by a former standout Spartan gymnast from the class of 2005, Jennifer Yarborough-Burrill, followed by Coach Rowe's reaction.
So why is this current MSU Gymnastics team so special to me? I spent 15 years of my life training to compete collegiate gymnastics at my dream school. Was proud to wear my green and white. I worked so hard for it. Flash forward to the past 5 or so years. I couldn't wear an MSU shirt, let alone MSU Gymnastics shirt, without someone judging me, asking me inappropriate questions. Heaven forbid I post something and some rivalry school responds with one name. That name doesn't define me or the team or the bulk of MSU Nation. I can now, because of this team, speak about the program with the pride I have always had for it. But now, no one judges me. This team, this year, did the same for me as therapy has. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very moving. I'm glad, and I'm very happy that people are starting to heal, and that this is one of the avenues that they can heal by supporting us and seeing that's the way it should be, because that's all we've dreamed of since it all came about, and that's really special.
Also special was the way this season's Michigan State women's gymnastics team continued its climb to unprecedented success. This season, MSU won the 2024 Big Ten Championship for the first time ever, thus completing the regular season and postseason title sweep. Junior Skylar Schulte won Michigan State's first Big Ten all-around title, while Spartan head coach Mike Rowe was named the Coach of the Year for a third straight season. So, how did the Cinderella man of the Michigan State women's gymnastics world become just that? Coach Mike Rowe.
I remember having this conversation in preseason at the beginning. They're like, yeah, we're picked, number 8 in the Big Ten and, 36th in the country. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just be like the Cinderella story or whatever? And I'm like, let's just go with that. Let's just do that. It was as simple as like making it a statement and saying, and they ate it up.
And that they did. Mike Rowe has just done one of the great jobs in history of Big Ten athletics. When we come back, our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt, that's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show this week. It's always fun to reflect back on some of the great moments in the Big Ten and hear good stories as well. And with that, I am setting up the grand finale of the show with the parting shots.
Well, and leading us into it, I do want to remind everybody to follow us on Twitter or X at SportsLifeNow is our handle. That's again at SportsLifeNow. We post the entire show and all the interviews there. For my parting shot, I wanted to take a look back at what the anomaly was of Michigan men's basketball this regular season, and specifically with Big Ten play. Michigan finished league play 14-6, right? That was their conference record. They had a negative point differential. They were minus in the points scored against the points that they gave up. And Jared Burson, who does a great job on social media, always posting some different nuggets, actually highlighted just how historically unprecedented this is. Michigan's the first Division I team to win 70% of its conference games but post a negative scoring differential in league play since Northern Iowa in the 1983-84 Association of Mid-Continent Universities, now the Summit League. That's the last time you could find something like this. It's been over 40 years. That's how bizarre this season was for Michigan men's basketball.
It's bizarre he was looking for it. How do you even find that?
That guy is one of the best researchers around college basketball.
He has to be. And mine's a little bit along the same lines as something that's kind of interesting to me. You have Michigan State, a team that really wasn't picked to be a champion. Mm-hmm. Good, but not maybe as good. They win the men's title by 3 full games. That's amazing, especially with their schedule in the second half. Tom Izzo's Coach of the Year. Okay, that's a given. Doug Wojcik is top assistant, gets Assistant Coach of the Year. That's good. This is the team that won the league by 3 full games. Not one player off the championship team made all-first team. Media or coaches. Not one player off the championship team by 3 full games made the second team, coaches or media. I just find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously, those aren't very good players. And with that, that's a wrap for our show. As always, appreciate everybody tuning in. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler with assistance from Owen Cronin. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton Shetler, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.